there, my name is Kelly Dell and I'm with Off the Beaded Path, which is located in Forest City, North Carolina. For today's video, I want to revisit again another video from the past. Back in June 2012, I showed you guys how to make the halo earrings. I love those earrings. They were super simple, super sweet. I think I showed you a picture of the bracelet, the halo bracelet that I came up with that one, but I didn't actually do a video on it. So what I want to do today is I want to revisit those halo earrings. I want to show you how to make a bracelet today, how to make a different bracelet for the set next week, how to make a necklace, how to make a ring. I want to finish up this set because here in the store, the halo bracelet pattern is one of our most popular in-store patterns. So I know you guys are going to love it. And I also experimented with some different shapes of beads using, instead of using a fire polish, using a pearl and things such as that. So, to make the halo bracelet, what you're going to need is 54 4mm rounds. This can be a fire polish, this can be a gemstone, this can be a druck bead, whatever you want. You're going to need 7 8mm round beads, and again, fire polish bead, pearl, druck, gemstone, whatever fits your curve. You need 36 3mm bicones. Now the bicones are kind of a must in it. If you use a 3mm round, it doesn't work as well. So definitely a 3mm bicone. You're going to need about 3 grams of a size 11 seed bead, 2 wire protectors, 3 yards of 6-pound fire line. Now I did try this pattern with some 10-pound fire line, but I was using some pearls and it busted a couple of my pearls trying to get back through those. So I wouldn't go above a 6 or an 8-pound with this bracelet. You'll also need a clasp, 7 3.9 Montees, and 1 size 12 needle. So this list that I just gave you will do a 7 to a quarter to a 7.5 bracelet. If you have a smaller wrist, you're going to need less materials. If you have a bigger wrist, you're going to need more materials. What I might suggest to you, the way that I finish off this bracelet, is if you're comfortable with using a lobster claw, is that you may want to make it to the length that I'm going to show you today, and then just add a lobster claw with an extender chain. But it's kind of just completely whatever you're used to. Now the samples I'm going to show you are in normal everyday wear colors, but the sample I will actually be doing in the video is going to be Christmas colors, because guys, it's October. Christmas is going to be here before you know it, okay? So I just want to show you some different options that you can play around with this. And it's early enough that if you're starting to do some Christmas shows, you can whip some of these up really quickly, because it is a quick project, and have those out for your holiday shows. So go ahead and get your materials together and go ahead and get your needle threaded with your fine line. So here's the bracelet I'm going to be teaching you how to make today. The top 2 bracelets are my original samples from 2012. This one here is milky turquoise, and this one is done with purple iris and some matte purple. As you can see, there are some differences into the 2 pieces. First off, in the milky turquoise, I used a Pacific Opal Montee. And then in the purple one, I used seed beads. If you don't want to put the extra cost, or you just don't have any Montees, when we add the Montees, you can do an X shape of seed beads, just like I've done here, in place of the Montee. I don't think it makes it look bad at all. It just, the Montees just add a bit of sparkle to it. So those are some options. This is another sample that I made. This is using the pearls, and I really am liking this sample with the pearls. The biggest thing that you need to know, and I'll show you on these 2. Different seed beads, different brands will make a difference in what your piece will look like. On the milky turquoise, I used a Miyuki seed bead, and as you can see, around my stone, each segment has 4 beads. On the pearl one, I'm using a Toho seed bead, and if you can see here, my Toho only has sets of 3 seed beads. All right, so Okay, come on, there we go. Alright, so what that means is that when you're using Miyuki seed beads, you're going to need to put 4. If you're using Toho, you're only going to need 3, and you'll kind of see when we get to those steps. But you do want to make sure that you kind of test out your brand to see how it's going to look. Because you can put 4 Tohos in here, it just doesn't look great. So that's your biggest thing. Okay. I have my needle threaded with my fire line, and the first thing I'm going to do is let me get my beads down here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to thread on 1 4mm, and I'm using 4mm Siam, 1 seed bead, and I'm using the size 11 Silverline crystal, 1 4mm, 1 seed bead, 1 4mm, 1 seed bead, 1 4mm, and 1 seed bead. So this is what you're going to start out with. Bring it down, and you want to leave yourself a long enough tail that you can go back and add your clasp at the end. And you can either go through all beads again, or you can just tie them into a circle. Now once you have them into your circle, you're going to go through the 4mm right next to the knot. And when you pull, that's what it's going to look like so far. You want to pick up 1 seed bead, 1 Monte, and 1 seed bead. So seed bead, Monte, seed bead. You're going to go through the 4mm opposite where you're exiting. So here's where you're coming out. So you're going to go through this 4mm right at top. And you want to go through it so that when you pull those beads, they lay diagonal over your little circle that you made. You want to pick up 111, and you're going to go through the other hole of the Monte, making sure that your color is facing upward. And then 111, and go through that bottom 4mm once more, and pull that nice and tight. And once you do, this is what you should have so far. You're going to continue through the 11, the 4mm, the 11, and then the 4mm. So your tail is coming out at the bottom, your working thread is coming out at the top. At this point, you're going to pick up 1 3mm and 1 4mm 5 times. So a repetition of 5 times. So 1 3 and 1 4 5 times. So when I get 5 red ones on there, I know that I have my repeats. Now after you have your 5 rounds on there, your 5 4mm, then you're going to put on 1 more 3mm. So you actually have 6 3s and 5 4s. You're going to come back through the bead that you're currently exiting to make the circle. And then you're going to go through those beads again that you just added to reinforce. If you don't do this step, you're going to get a flimsy mess. Alright, so be sure to do your reinforcement. You want to pick up, oh, and before I forget, this bead that you're coming out of right here, this is going to become what we call your connection bead. So right now, this is the connection bead because it connects my small component to the big component that I'm fixing to make. When I finish the big component, I'll be coming out of this bead, and this will be my connection bead. You'll see this as we start to go. So right now I've got 2 11s, 1 8mm, and 2 11s. You're going to go through the 4mm opposite where you're currently coming out of. So I'm coming out here, so I'm going to come to this 4mm and go through it. Pick up 2 11s and come back down through the 8mm. Now 2 11s, and you come back through that connection bead so it makes an X type shape. Go up through 2 11s right where your thread's coming out, and then through the 8mm. So through 2 11s and then through the 8mm. This is where you're going to have to test. I know for a fact I'm using my Yuki seed beads. So I'm going to be picking up 4 11s. If you're using Tohos, you're only going to pick up 3. I'm going to come through, down through the 3mm bicone on the right side of the circle. So I'm coming out of the 8mm. I'm picking up 4 11s, and I'm going through the 3mm on the right side of the circle. Now pick up 4 seed beads, and you're going to come right back up through the 8mm. Four 11s, and you're going to go through the 3mm on the left side of the circle, and just be sure when you're doing this that you're not getting your threads caught up here or down here on those seed beads. And then you want 4 11s, and you're going to come right back up through the 8mm again. You want to pull that tight so that that forms a little frame around your bead. I'm going to go through the 2 11s to the right, and then through the 4mm connection bead. Okay, so a little while ago this was my connection bead. Now this one up here is going to be my connection bead. At this point you'll pick up 1 11, 1 4mm, 1 11, 1 4mm, 1 11, 1 4mm, and 1 11. So you start and end with an 11. You're going to come around to make that circle, so you're going to come back through the bead, the connection bead again. And just like we did on this circle here, we've got to go through those beads again to reinforce. Once you're coming back out of the connection bead, you pick up 1 11, 1 Monte, and 1 11. So again, you're picking up 1 11, 1 Monte, and 1 11. Take your needle and go through the 4mm opposite where your thread is coming out. So I'm going to come right through this bead. I want my beads to lay at that diagonal, just like that. Now you're going to pick up 1 11 and come through the other hole of the Monte. I'm holding that bead in place and pulling. And then 1 11 and go through that connection bead again. Now you're going to continue on through an 11, a 4mm, an 11, and a 4mm. So again, you're coming out at top. Each time you do one of these squares here, you're going to be coming out one time to the left, and the next time will be to the right. So the next one I make, my thread will be coming out to the left. So each time it's going to flip-flop the way that your thread's coming out. So just pay attention to that. So now I want to pick up a repeating pattern of a 3mm and a 4mm 5 times. So when I get 5 reds on there, I know I've done all my repetitions. So I've got my 5 reds, and then I'm going to pick up one 3mm, so that way I have 6 3mm and 5 4mm. I'm going to come back through that 4mm to make a circle, and then I'm going to reinforce this by going back through those beads again. Pick up 2 11s, 1 8mm, and 2 11s. Go through the 4mm opposite the one you're exiting, so I'm going to go through this top 4mm here. You want to pick up 2 11s and come back down through the 8mm, and then 2 11s and come back through the connection 4mm here at the bottom of the circle. So it's going to look just like this. I'm going to come up through the 2 11s and the 8mm right above where my thread's coming out. Pick up 4 seed beads and go through the 3mm on the right hand side. Four 11s and go up through the 8mm. Okay, then we're going to pick up 4 11s and go through the 3mm here on the left hand side, and then 4 11s and go up through the 8mm. Go through the 2 seed beads here to the right, and then through the 4mm connection bead. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue to do your small component and your large component until you get enough beads or enough components to go around your bracelet or your wrist. Lord help me, my words just are not coming out right today. The thing that you want to know is, on the completed bracelet, if you do 7 small components, okay, so you do 7 small ones and then 6 big ones, that'll make a 5.5 inch. If you do 8 small components and 7 large components, that'll make a 6.5 bracelet without the clasp. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how many small and big components you're going to need. So I've got my length I want of my bracelet. I'm going to make this one just a little bit shorter. It's going to be right at 7 inches so that I can sell it in the store. When you finish, you want to be sure and end with one of the small components. You started with a small one, so you want to end with a small one. And I'm coming out of that connection bead. So I'm going to use my size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to pick up 4 of those beads and my wire protector. So with the wire protector, we go up one side and down the other side. So it makes that little horseshoe shape. I'm going to put on my lobster claw. Now you can put on any kind of binding that you want. And then I'm going to come right back down through that last seed bead that I added, so that when I pull, this is what it will look like so far. Pick up 3 11s and come back through that connection 4mm, so that when you pull, it makes a little A shape or a little V shape over your bead. You want to reinforce this again and then tie this thread off. And then you're going to do the same thing on this side by threading your needle on, and then I'm actually going to be adding a little extender chain with a bead on the end. So this is the finished clasp for the bracelet. I wanted to show you one other thing. This one here, I'll use the little 11 seed bead as my kind of connection between the two sides. If you don't have a wire protector that is the color of what you're working on, you could also do what I've done here. I've got 4 seed beads and a 4mm, and then I've just added my split ring, come back down through the 4mm and the 11, and then picked up my 3 and went through. And you can see I did the same thing on this side, but I put my lobster claw on the little split ring. So it gives you a little bit of a different way, and you'll also notice that on this bracelet, I started with the big component. Started and ended with the big component. On the pattern, it starts and ends with the small component. I've just found over time that the starting with the smaller components works out a lot better than using starting with the bigger components. So that is why, if you've seen kind of that discrepancy from what I was telling you from the sample, then you'll know. So this is the pearls again. I'm using a cocoa 4mm, a bronze 8, oxblood seed beads, and a gold champagne 3mm. The Montees, you can use either a light colorated topaz or a golden shadow. This bracelet used the 8mm purple iris, 4mm matte purple, and then the 3mm is the jet AB. This bracelet again used the 4mm cyan, 8mm emerald, 11/0 silver line clear, and 3mm crystal AB. And this bracelet used the milky turquoise, the galvanized 11, and the green zircon 3mm. So the bracelet looks totally different depending on the color scheme that you do. And that's what I love about it, because it really does change with every color that you use. So I hope you guys enjoyed the project and learning how to make the halo bracelet. Be sure and come back next week where I'm going to show you how to make the double halo bracelet. I have to say, out of any project I've ever done, the double halo is one of my absolute favorites. So be sure and come back for that. Be sure and watch Must Know Monday so you'll be up on all the new beading techniques and all the new tools that are coming out. So you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.